now, let's talk about prosperity. Give us your thoughts on that. You know, what is prosperity to you?
Well, a lot of people think prosperity, when they hear the word prosperity, they immediately think money.
You're right.
And the teachings that I have been receiving is that prosperity involves so much more. Prosperity involves a healthy lifestyle. And it involves peace. It involves tranquility. It involves vision. It involves favor. So when you speak of prosperity, or when I speak of prosperity, I think of all of those things. I think of healthy relationships. I think of healthy vision. The ability to wake up with an idea and say, I'll run with this. To have a clear conscience, to have a heart that says, don't stop, don't give up. I think all of those things are included in prosperity. Sometimes you have people who are financially prosperous, but health-wise,
right,
you know, they're not. Right, exactly. So I think prosperity is a holistic approach to having what I call walking in victory, having a victorious life. So prosperity includes all of those things: health, wealth, knowledge, peace, joy, relationships, a deep spirit, all of those things. So that's what prosperity means to me.
Yeah, and you mentioned when you get that voice in your head that's telling you it's time to give up, why are you doing this? What are you thinking? Are you sure this is, the way you want to go? What do?
I pray on it. That's the first thing I do. The first thing I do is I pray on it, and I try to establish a sense of patience. Sometimes we do what we want to do and then say that that's what God wants us to do. Well, God wanted me to be this, and God wanted me to do this. No, you wanted to be that. You wanted to do it, and you're just saying that, you're just having God co-sign. But I think it's times like that where you really need patience. With the book, back to the example of the book, everyone was saying, you need to put this book out. You need to put this book out. And it was so good. And guys were making, hundreds of dollars. They would come and just pass it out $10 and sell it for $10. And Cheryl kind of told me, she said, you want what's called the ISBN. And when you have an ISBN, you won't have to sell it on the corners. You won't have to sell it on the street. And not to knock anyone who does that, but that's the way I wanted to go. That's the way I wanted to have my information in the Library of Congress. I wanted to have my book available to anybody. So anybody can just type in an address, contact a bookstore, and get it. That's what I wanted. And that's what Ebony Energy had provided me with. So when you hit those times, it's like you have to just demonstrate a sense of patience.
Yeah, I like to say that, there's this kind of strange paradox. Like, we'll get the vision of what it is we want to do. It's like, oh, my heart's desire is this. And I say that we see that vision at letter Z, but we're way back here at letter A. And the frustration and the difficulty and the doubt all seeps in because we can see the finished thing. You knew you wanted a book. You knew you had the content and the material and it was coming. And so we do become very anxious. We become, because we can see it. We've already conceptualized it. And yet, there are steps. There are pieces. There are things we need to collect and people we need to meet and experiences we need to have on the way to that vision. And when we get in trouble is when we try to jump from letter A to letter P as opposed to going from letter A to letter B. And what the example you cite is there was something that was telling you, yeah, I could put this book together at Kinko's and theoretically be accomplished, but you knew there was a more complete picture for you. And so that patience and just taking the next step is what helps keep the doubt at bay. Actually, we become more doubtful, I think, when we jump from A to P. When you try and just jump out there and make it happen. Versus what's really the next step for me. And you did that. You collected it. You met Cheryl. She gave you advice. You took her advice until you ended up with a lovely,
Thank you.
manuscript.
Thank you.
So I think that's really helpful. I don't know if anybody has questions on any of the P's for AJ, or please go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. The first one is, who's Cheryl? Because it seems like she did a dinosaur, and I don't know what she is. And also, I'm writing a book book. My son is a really good poet, and he has a bunch of really amazing poetry. And I always tell he's 24, and I always tell him you should share that with everybody because you're great. And he hadn't done anything because maybe he doesn't know how to, like what you mentioned, how you go from
The next step.
writing and the next step. And so I'd love to know about the book club and the Cheryl and get advice how to go through the, how to put in action the first,
There are a lot of different steps. There are actually companies that help people publish, help people self-publish. So that's one avenue. I just happen to take the avenue with Cheryl and Ebony Energy Publishing. So she's here this evening. There she is right there. There's Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
And I'll add, she's a fabulous coach and consultant when it comes to taking the steps you need to do for your book.
Yeah.
And she has a consultancy business. So see her afterwards about her coaching and consulting when it comes to preparation of your manuscript or your son's poetry book or whatever, because she, has a great business that assists writers to the point where they're ready.